It is an absolutely beautiful day, and I still have a lot of hydrangea that need pruning. So I think today I'm going to address all of my hydrangea macropylla and hydrangea serrata, the big leaf and mountain hydrangea, and get all of those pruned up. And then I think tomorrow I'm going to go after the panicle hydrangea and the smooth hydrangea. So come on and I'll show you how I do it. So one of the things that I've noticed in watching YouTube videos about how to prune hydrangea is that most of the people that I've seen showing it are showing you how to do it on relatively small immature plants. And I do not have small immature plants. I have a lot of very large mature hydrangea. And so that's what I'm going to show you today. So I have three examples right here that I'm going to prune and show you what I'm doing. The first one is a hydrangea macrophylla or big leaf hydrangea called Let's Dance Moonlight. And you can see that the buds are already opening up on this hydrangea. Now we had a reasonably mild winter, so I'm getting a lot of buds even out to the tips, which is wonderful. The second hydrangea we're going to take a look at is a twist and shout, which is also a hydrangea macrophylla. Now, the Let's Dance Moonlight has the large kind of globe-shaped blue flower. Twist and shout is a lace cap type, and I have not been happy with this hydrangea because so many of the branches have just laid down on the ground, and it just seems like a floppy plant. I was going to take it out, and then I decided to give it one more chance, and I'm going to prune it in a way that hopefully will help it to stand a little more upright. Now, the third one here is actually a mountain hydrangea or hydrangea serrata. This one is Tough Stuff Red, and it has a lace cap flower. And as you can see, we've got lots of lovely buds here. Even out to the tips, although, it's a little bit raggedy looking. So we're going to prune this one as well. Probably the most important thing when you're going to go and prune hydrangea is to understand what type of hydrangea you actually have. If you don't know what kind of hydrangea you're working with, then you don't know whether it's something that blooms only on old growth, on old or new, or just on new growth. And that is something that is very, very important. So what I would suggest, if you don't know what kind of hydrangea you're working with, is during the growing season, take some pictures of the leaves, of the flowers, if you've got flowers on them, and bring it to your local independent garden center. They will be the ones most likely to have a knowledgeable horticulturalist on staff who can help you to identify what you have. You can even cut off a piece of a branch, cut one branch off that has leaves and perhaps a flower on it, and bring it in for them to take a look at. And they can tell you what species of hydrangea you're dealing with, and then you'll know what to do with it in the spring. Now, big leaf hydrangea fall into one or two groups. There's one group that only blooms on old wood. That is growth that happened last year. There's another one that only blooms, or doesn't only bloom, but blooms on old and new wood. So there's two different types. The buds that contain the leaves and the flowers form the previous year on the old growth on both of those. However, the one that blooms on old and new, the old growth blooms first and then the new wood blooms later. So if you make a mistake and you cut too much off of one of those, you'll still get some flowers. They'll just come out later in the season. But if you take too much off of the hydrangea that only blooms on old wood, you may have cut off all your flowers for the year. So that's the one that you have to try to preserve as much of the old wood as possible. Some of the tools that I always bring out with me if I'm going to do some pruning, I bring out my loppers. So in case I have to remove any dead branches from the base, and usually a couple of different hand clippers. I also like to keep a spray bottle full of alcohol handy, and I do spray my clippers in between plants so that I'm not, transferring any kind of diseases or problems from one plant to the next. The other thing I like to use is this 35-gallon trash bin in order to collect all of the bits and pieces of things that I've cut. Now, I know there are a lot of different, garden totes and things on the market. I don't like something that I have to pick up and carry afterwards. This is really nice because it has a handle and I can grab a hold of the handle, and it has wheels so that I can use those wheels to pull it across the yard up to the compost pile. So much handier than having something that I then have to lift up and carry away. One of the essentials in my gardening toolkit is bug spray. And this time of year, what I'm seeing is ticks. We had a relatively mild winter and the ticks are out in force. It seems like every time I come in from doing some pruning, I have 2 or 3 ticks on my clothing. So I haven't had one attach yet, thank goodness. And they all seem to be immature dog ticks as opposed to the little tiny deer ticks. But better safe than sorry. So keep that in mind if you live anywhere where ticks are a problem. Some of these more has to be taken off of them. Yep, look at that. Ooh, look at that. That's one that rooted and is a candidate actually for being pulled out and transplanted somewhere else. Okay. Here is the pile of sticks that I pulled out of the hydrangea that I just pruned. This is either deadwood, branches that were laying on the ground, or things that were actually sticking out at weird angles because I like to have my hydrangea stand up nice and straight. Now we're looking at the hydrangea that I cleaned up from the lower side of the wall, and you can see that there aren't any old flowers left on them, and all of the old dead branches have been removed. Now, if you're wondering about identifying hydrangea macropylla or big-leaf hydrangea, you'll notice that most of the stalks are very, very straight. They don't have a lot of branches coming off of them. The one in the middle is the twist and shout that I'm not real happy with. This one lays down and flops all the time, so I cut out a lot of the floppy stuff, and I'm hoping that that helps. The one that's on the side here is a red tough stuff mountain hydrangea. It has a very similar habit to the hydrangea macropylla or big-leaf hydrangea. And you can see it's nice and clean at this point. The other thing that I would suggest, and I probably need to clean up a little more at the base of this one, I did get the other ones cleaned up quite a bit, is to get rid of as much of the leaf material. If you have a lot of leaves that are stuck in these, they tend to be leaf catchers. It's not such a problem now, but it certainly is in the fall, because those big piles of leaves can actually make very nice rodent nests. Little mice like to nest in them, and you certainly don't want a family of mice nibbling on the bark of your hydrangeas all winter. Now this twist and shout, which is a lace cap, is one that I was thinking of getting rid of because the branches were so floppy. I cut off everything that was flopping off, but look what it's done. This, I think, was the original plant, and it's formed another plant here. And where the branches were laying down behind it, we've got two more plants formed. So that's something that does happen if you allow a lot of the branches to lay down on the ground. Let's take another look at this Let's Dance Moonlight hydrangea macropylla. And again, you can see it does have nice buds pretty much out to the tip. I did cut off any tips that were going much taller than I wanted it to be. Besides trying to get rid of the deadwood, I also was trying to shape it up. I will be showing you what these look like in bloom later in the season. Today we're also going to prune these two smaller hydrangea serrata. This is tiny tough stuff. So it's just a dwarf version of the tough stuff red. And once again, this is a lace cap type of hydrangea. You can see the old flowers on it. And you can also see the new buds that are coming out. So here we go. These two lovely little hydrangea. Again, these are tiny tough stuffs, are all pruned up and looking just fine. I shaped them up. I took out all of the dead, got rid of all the old flower stalks, and they are looking like they're ready for the year. They're even showing signs of little flower buds forming, which is just wonderful. There are more hydrangea macropylla, and this is the before shot before I come in and prune them. So I'm not quite done with all of my clipping here yet. You can see all of the branches down here. I have removed dead flowers. I have also removed dead branches. This is actually quite a little hedge of hydrangea. There's actually, I think, 5 mophead type hydrangea here and 4 lace cap, and I believe lady in reds up here. And you can see they're starting to look much, much better. And there's plenty of new growth on here. I've taken off the tallest tops to shape these up a little bit. And because these hydrangea are sort of leaning into this pathway, I may actually create a little fence, put a few stakes here just to make sure that we can still get in here and mow. But this project is going well. The afternoon is waning, so I think I will finish it tomorrow. But it was a great start getting this hydrangea hedge in order. And I'll show you later in the season what it ends up looking like. Now, next time we talk about pruning, we're going to talk about the smooth hydrangea and the panicle hydrangea. Those are a little different because both of those bloom on new growth. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope that you're also having a wonderful day in the garden. See you next time.